So this video is more of like a fun one, if you could say that, but I was just genuinely curious about this question. But what type of stories do you prefer when it comes to fan fiction or swapping characters, that type of feel? Do you like stories that are very strict or very loose? And so what I mean by that is there are stories that are very prime for fan fiction, where you could change the main character, you can either their personality or you can swap them out with another one, and the world won't just fall apart and the themes of the story won't just fall apart because of that. An example of this would be like Dragon Ball. You can practically put almost any character in Goku's position, and while you'll get different results, it won't be story breaking. It can be interesting on its own. Another example would be Star Wars, where Star Wars really is more like a family drama type of story. While they are like political and wider narratives and stuff like that, it's just not as important as the family drama of the Skywalkers. And so you could basically put any character in that universe and explore their story, and not only would it be interesting, but it's just that you can do so. It won't break the story. And so an example of a story that would break, like a very strict story, where fan fiction or swapping characters won't work all that well, would be like the Naruto franchise, where you could swap. Like, if you change Naruto's personality, that won't end well for the story itself. Inevitably things are going to end up with the infinite Tsukuyomi, with a world ending maybe in the future in Boruto, or just a cycle of hatred repeating itself. And the same thing would be said when it comes to swapping Naruto out with another character. Like, the result would be like, just imagine if you swapped Naruto out with Luffy. It would be a disaster. Luffy would probably make the cycle of hatred continue even further. Another example would be Bleach, where there aren't very many ways that you can explore Bleach outside of Ichigo. In the end, you'll still have to contend with fighting Yuha and the manipulations of Aizen. And so thematically, the world is very strict in that way. And so I hope that I've given you very good examples. And since I want to cast a wider net, I'll also include examples like The Walking Dead. You could practically put any character in The Walking Dead. I think Marvel and DC, you can put any character in Marvel and DC. There is no fundamental issues that would be brought up. Then you have those halfway stories, I would say, like A Song of Ice and Fire or Game of Thrones, where yes, it does have prophecy and things of that nature, but you can probably swap out any character and you'd have pretty interesting results, things like that. It's not like the story is, and its resolution is integral to how a character specifically, in terms of their personality, it's not specific to that degree. While Alice in Wonderland would be insanely restrictive. So if you're a fanfic writer or something of that nature, which one do you prefer? Do you like being put under the stress and effort of trying to account for the cycle of hatred in Naruto, or trying to work in those bounds and trying to see if changing certain characters or swapping them out completely would work out well? Do you enjoy that challenge, or do you have people who are much more into more open or free exploration with different stories? Oh yeah, another specific thing is I'm trying to say that you are able to jump into these worlds and putting a character there or making fan fiction there with the intent of still following the story, generally speaking, or rather the timeline of the story, not just being in that universe and then wildly diverting from the story. So I was just asking that because I was just very interested in what your answers would be. And if I don't want this video to be a waste of time for you, I'll just say that it also gives you insight onto what type of story reader you are, what type of reader you are. You might be the type to like stories where anything is possible, like a One Piece type of story. Although One Piece is also a midway type of story when it comes to this category, because there's still very much so importance on defeating the celestial dragons and all the mysteries of the One Piece and things of that nature. But at the same time, it feels like a lot of characters can be swapped out with Luffy, and while you'll have different results, it's not as strict as a Naruto series, where you can't really have different results. You can't say that I'm just going to beat up this guy and not try to empathize with them. That's just going to end very horribly in the Naruto series. While in One Piece, I feel like there's many ways you can go about taking out a villain. You can either empathize with them and make them join you, or you could defeat them. I think the results would be basically the same. So yes, it might inform you that what type of a consumer you are when it comes to stories, and maybe it might help you see what type of stories that you'd actually go read. But before you go off and relish in this knowledge of yourself, this discovery that you've had about yourself, please indulge my selfish question and type down in the comments which type you prefer. And with that, that'll be the end of the video, and I hope you have a nice day.